Hi, my name is Joseph Alai. Welcome to my channel. And today I want to talk about the limited mind versus the infinite mind. The reason I bring this up is because I was doing a workshop the other day on crafting reality and deliberately creating a system out of manifesting your desires. And one of the topics that comes up in that subject is when we're developing a life, when we're making a game plan life, am I sure that what I'm manifesting is actually what I want? Now, I'm not saying that you don't want your desire, but what I'm saying is that is there more, or are you limiting yourself? Are you still thinking from the mindset of the person who didn't know how to manifest? And so that's what I want to talk to you about, how to kind of pinpoint that and how to expand upon that, how to figure out if you're thinking from the limited mind, and how to convert. There's a specific process, a system to convert your limited mindset into more generalized, infinite or larger scale manifestations. So first of all, if you haven't done so already, please hit the like button. It does something with the algorithm so that those who would not normally be able to see this video would be able to see this video. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. That way you can stay tuned for more very laser focused, systematic methodology on how to manifest anything that you want in a tested fashion. So let's jump right into it then. The finite mind versus the infinite mind. When we first get into manifesting, right, we are thinking from the mindset of a person, generally speaking, to varying degrees, who believes that we are limited by the laws that govern this world. And so that means is that there is no power that can help us, that we have to physically force this world to conform to our willpower. And so therefore, our only, I guess this is generally speaking, manifesting or not, the only things that are possible are those things that we think are possible. And so if it's only our body that we're limited to, if it's only force that we're limited to, then generally, like I said, varying degrees though, we are going to think of much lower than if we knew that all things were possible, right? Just makes logical sense. And so when we come into manifesting, we jump into manifesting, we realize, right? And if you don't know this, this is true, that all things are possible. And that means whether you want to be rich, wealth, health, love, happiness, and spirituality. Those are the 5 pillars that I talk about. And you can expand upon those and manifest infinite of each of those things. We don't have to think from the limited mind in order to manifest great, awesome, amazing things. And just to be clear, all we need to do to manifest something is to be able to imagine it in first person point of view and after we have already received it. Those are the 2 requirements, right? Now, when I say imagine, I don't just mean visualize, I mean inner conversation, I mean emotion, all senses, inner senses, basically all imaginal or awareness experience. If we can, in that state, imagine, in our imagination, the end result, then we will plant a seed that will manifest in this external world in some way that's impossible to kind of figure out. But nevertheless, it happens every time in a systematic way. And so ask yourself now, take a second, what are the desires that you are here for? What's the key desire that you're here for? So literally think about it and in your mind, name it to yourself. Why are you here? Why are you watching me? Why are you listening? Why are you manifesting? Some of you will say, you could say health, wealth, love, happiness, spirituality, right? You want romance, you want money, you want debt free, you want to lose weight, you want to feel better mentally. These are some of the things that we come in here for. And I know for me personally, I was in a very sorry state of affairs. I was virtually homeless. I was addicted. I kept getting into trouble. I kept going in and out of treatment and I'm talking about for years. I mean, it was a very special type of hell all along, trying to kind of claw my way out of it. But coming into manifestation, when I first, saw my first evidence of manifestation, and I'm talking about way before I really mastered this thing, you start to get a glimpse of hope, but the mind or the limitations that my mind was confined to was still based off the mind of the addicted, broken, sad, depressed, suicidal Joe. And that's what we're talking about here. So if you ask yourself now, what is it that you want? You can start to get the idea from the context of, am I thinking from the limited mind? Now, the reason I'm asking this question in general is because there comes a point, this is something that happened to me very recently. I've had a lot of a lot of desires over my life, essentially. And a lot of them have manifested. And in fact, most of the key desires that I've wanted have manifested, right? Like having a business, moving to San Diego. And I could just keep going on and on, but like big things that aren't just like manifesting a cup of coffee, things about my mental state, things about my social life, all these things have manifested. And so I came to a point where I started to kind of cruise a little bit. This is just very recently. And then I started to feel a little bit lost. And then I had the workshop, which was a blessing, right? I had planned to do this workshop that I did, which was crafting and planning reality and imaginal acts before I had even known that I needed to take the actions myself. And what I had found was that the manifestations that I had received, although they are monumental, amazing, and unparalleled, and obviously miraculous, they were from one track of one mind that I used to live in. And so being that track had come to an end, it leaves you to a place where, well, there's more possibilities now, or you've ran out of old possibilities because you've manifested them all. So if you're thinking from the mind of the limited mind, start now to ask yourself the question, why do you want the thing that you want? And then ask yourself after that, could I want something better than this? Or could I want something grander than this? And that's a step, right? So literally take that step. So the step is you kind of think of your desires. That's step number one. You think of your desires. I would write them down. And then number two would be to ask yourself if this is truly what you want. And then I would ask yourself, is there something bigger and better that you can want, right? So that's the very first step. Now, the second step would be to take a look at your life and look at everything that's going on around you. And I'm talking about not just literally like the lights and the microphone and the camera, but who your friends are, how they've been treating you, how you've been treating your friends, how work has been, how your finances have been, how your social life has been, and on and on and on. Just take a step back and look at that. And then ask yourself, because this is something that I didn't do for those couple of weeks where I started to feel a little weird, is not look at this. And then I realized, like, okay, I'm not hanging out with people. I'm not feeling well. Like I injured my knee, like all these things. And so I realized that I was so hyper-focused on certain things that I was neglecting true things that I wanted, other things that I wanted without even realizing it. So looking at those things, if you're having trouble with relationships, if you're having trouble with finances, if you're, whatever the case may be, you list those down as well. And then after that, what you do is you look and see if you have any repeat items. Now, this is where we're looking again for the finite mind, right? So we look and see if we have any repeat items. And the example that I gave in the workshop is that, like, say for instance, I wanted to manifest a wife, right? We'll call her Jane again or something. Jane is, she's beautiful. She's loyal. She makes me feel secure, right? Like a lot of us have these types of repetitive list where we're listing the same thing that have to do with our insecurities, right? So, or our fears or our doubts, like I receive money, I always keep my money, no one screws me over on getting money, right? We'll write these repeat things. And the goal here, this is the third step, what we do is we circle these things that are repeats, and then we kind of take those as symptoms, literally. So we'll say, well, I keep writing things about my wife making me feel secure, so therefore that must be a symptom of me being insecure. So instead what we do is we take those, we cross those out, and then we flip it to say, I am secure. So instead of saying Jane makes me feel secure, Jane is loyal to me, Jane loves only me, I flip it and say, I'm always secure in my relationships. And now we can start to manifest anything that we want. Now we can start to manifest through the infinite mind and not the limited mind, because we're taking care of all the things, these limited issues that are manifesting into these desires, which really we just want to get rid of these issues. So I hope that makes sense as far as converting repetitive limitations of the mind into assumptions, right? And so thinking from the infinite mind has much more power because we can start to think grander and expand more. If you're thinking about the extra $500 in your bank account, there's nothing wrong with that. You can absolutely do that. And if you're still building your faith, which I know most of you are, and I mean, you may be specifically, but I know most of my subscribers are, that's okay, right? Keep doing that. Keep testing it. Systematically put it to the test. Do segmented test. Imagine the end of receiving that and see what happens. Mark it down. Log it down, right? It's always going to work. It can't not work. And then keep growing bigger and grander. So I guess the moral of this story that I'm trying to get to is just be careful. And I don't mean this to frighten you at all. Careful is not a good word. But be observant, because we can always manifest more. We don't have to do anything more crazy to manifest something bigger. We have to do the same techniques, imagining after the end, in order to receive what we want. So listen, thank you for watching this. Start thinking big if you're not already, right? It was a learning experience I just kind of went through, and going through this process of sorting through my true desires truly helped me to kind of get back on my feet, manifesting, so to speak. And now things are exploding again. So if you like this, like it, subscribe, bell icon, stay tuned for more. Thank you.